I have discovered a good thing about lockdown. I seem to be saving money. The fact that my family now does my shopping severely limits my impulse buying, and I'm no longer distracted by new lines or tempted by two for the price of one. Of course, there are other ways we're being tempted, new ways, but that's another story. In our culture, numbers do not come with a significance of their own. Although having said that, of course, many people insist on certain numbers when they're buying raffle tickets. And I happen to live in a courtyard of 13 cottages, of which the last 3 are numbered 11, 12 and 14. In the Bible, the number 40 symbolises a time of testing, of reflection. The flood lasted for 40 days. Moses spent 40 days on the mountain receiving God's laws. The Israelites wandered in the wilderness for 40 years, and Jonah spent 40 days inside the whale. This week, of course, we remember particularly the 40 days in which Jesus himself was tested. It was pointed out to him by the tempter that he could create anything he wanted, could come to no harm whatever he did, and if he wished, he could be ruler of the entire world. Now, of course, these were special temptations appropriate to Jesus. I could never turn water into wine. I'd almost certainly die if I walked in front of a bus, and any dreams of world dominion for me belong to the world of James Bond or science fiction. But are there equivalents for us today? What were those temptations meant to do? Well, Jesus was setting out on his mission with a vision of the role which he was to play, and he was being offered distractions. A friend tells me of a fellow student who couldn't settle to his exam prep. He always just needed to do something first. In desperation, they locked him in his flat with flasks of coffee and sandwiches and biscuits, and they confiscated his radio. And it was the days before laptops and universal TVs. They crept back after about an hour to check that it had worked. What had he done? Well, he'd noticed that their old blue settee had one leg replaced with a brick. So he'd sought out some blue cloth which matched the sofa. "I'm just covering this brick before I start," he said. With me, it's often the ironing, or I'll just check for emails. Jesus was fully focused. The Jewish people were hoping for an imposing, powerful leader to free them from the Romans. Here he was being told that he was entitled to have whatever he wanted, to do whatever he wanted. But he knew that if he were to bring God's new reformed kingdom open to all, he needed to be at times needy, tired, disappointed, a victim of cruel men and a servant to others. As he was taken up to a vantage point, he was not viewing a potential kingdom, because his is a kingdom of the Spirit with no boundaries. We do, of course, need to have aspirations. They motivate us. But part of Lent appears to me to be a time to take stock. Am I still on course, or have I been distracted by stuff? Have I lost my focus? Have I lost my commitment? Who knows? If I really get down to it during Lent, doing the ironing may become an escape.